and welcome in to WHF Tier 2. I'm your host for this evening, WHFO, as we head to Qatar for the penultimate round in the season here, as Kevin Kell leads the championship by 11 points over Michael Louis and a further 16 points ahead of Godzilla. But the McLaren and the Williams driver can turn that around this round if they can score big in opposed to their Alpine rival. Also important to note that Kevin Kell could win the championship here today if he outscores the Williams and the McLaren by enough points, as Ty Clear already has a 5-place grid penalty. Contact with Vintage Control. And we missed what happened there, but already Ty Clear with a 5-place grid penalty, which is going to surely hurt him in the race. He doesn't seem to have any damage on the front wing of that Ferrari, but already has damage. Well, already has damaged his qualifying hopes. Anyway, we're going to go on board with Cthulhu, who will be the first driver around on a lap here in Qatar. And we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do here in Tier 2. He's got Scones behind him on a lap, along with Godzilla starting an out lap. And we'll see who can put it on pole here today. Get your predictions in the chat. Who will it be? Meanwhile, Cthulhu out on a lap here. Through the middle sector he goes. Where can the Red Bull move to? I mean, he will be the first driver to complete a lap, so he will be first, but where can he put that Red Bull? We will see as he makes a little error through the fast third sector, the rear stepping out in him as he's trying to keep it flat. And Cthulhu now up to the line. The Red Bull driver will go. And let's see where the Red Bull, what time he can do. It'll be a 23.6 for the Red Bull. Next around it'll be Scones, but he is invalid. Ty Clear, who's just on a practice run on these mediums. Welcome into the stream. The lanky one in the chat says Michael, as if he is rooting for Michael Louis. As Ty Clear goes to P3. Stephen Beecham quickest with a 22.6. We see Michael Louis there with the 22.5. The next quickest driver across the line. Next it'll be another V-Carb of Vintage Control, though he's invalid and will have to come in again. We do have welcome in, young Himmy Dimes. Hope you're doing well. We have Ledgeman out there on a lap here, down in P16. And where can Ellis put that Haas as he's going to come up to the line? It will be at 25.5. Next he's got Ollie being his teammate in the Haas 4 today. Next around, where can Ollie Bean go? As he's going to cross the line, it's going to be a 23.9. We've Godzilla out there, who may have had a Red Bull in the way on his lap, which he may not be too happy about. But either way, Godzilla now round the final corner. Where can he put the McLaren on his first run around? It'll be 23.0. Moves him up to P3 here. Meanwhile, Scones across the line up to P5. We have the lanky one out on a lap. Scotland returns. Former McLaren constructor champion here in Tier 2. But it'll be the lanky one next round here in the Sauber. And where can he put that Sauber here? That's probably downshifted at a corner. Normally you do not downshift at. As the lanky one trying to get it turned in. But Where can the Cyber put his car now? As he's around the final corner. And up to P3 goes the lanky one. Meanwhile, we do have Aussie out on a lap. Although he's got Aston right up his gearbox of D Summers now. As I think Aussie's on a lap, but the Aston going to get ahead of him here. Meanwhile, Scotland moves up to P12 with his first run. As who else do we have out there? I think everyone on in laps now. Maybe D Summers the only one on a quick one, although he did get blocked there by the Ferrari who was on a lap. Maybe started his lap too close to the Ferrari driver. And round the final corner now, where can D Summers go in the Aston Martin? For his first run, it'll be a 23-0 for D Summers. Meanwhile, I think that's everyone else on an in lap. We've got Vintage Control along with Stephen Beecham on an out lap. But I think it'll be Vintage Control, the next driver, to set lap time here. As Scotland is on an in-lap. Unless Scotland's going for another push, we'll keep an eye. Oh, he's 1.4 down on his time. As Scotland returns for his first time for the final two races of this season. We will see where he can put that Mercedes in the end of things. But Vintage Control here starting his lap for V-Carb as he's got no teammate today. Trying to remember who the V-Carb teammate is of Vintage Control. As Codzilla now moves up to P3, 300th shy of Stephen Beecham. Didn't actually expect Codzilla to be going for another run, but he did. But did not improve there. And it is Stephen Beecham who is his V-Carb teammate. I've just realised. I don't know why I didn't realise Stephen's right there in P2. He's one of the first names on the team sheet. And yet I still couldn't see it. But we'll go on board with Stephen as he starts this lap to see can Stephen challenge for pole here in Qatar. Very interested to see where Stephen can put this V-Carb. And it's looking a pacey first or second run here. As Dubsy is back in. Just got home to Dubsy, so we'll have time to set a lap. But Stephen Beecham already 2/10 to the good here in the V-Carb. So Stephen Beecham having a great outing so far on this lap. How much more time can he extract from that V-Carb? He's 2.5 to the good here as he enters Sector 3. And he's just got to keep it valid for the remainder of the lap. Hopefully it doesn't get blocked by this Haas here. Get out of the way! They just about did in time, thank the Lord. And Stephen Beecham goes a little deep at the final corner. But it's still a very good run and will be a 22-4, which pips him just ahead of Michael Lloyd. But I think he made a little mistake there at the final corner. Would have been a little spooked by the Haas driver now coming through on a lap of Ollie Bean, I believe. Meanwhile, we've got Ledgeman starting a lap as well here. Who else is out on a lap though at the same time? We've got Scotland out on a lap, although not improving. Cthulhu is out on a lap and somewhat evens with his time. He's 2 thousandths back from his first run. Meanwhile, Cthulhu, one more corner to do for the Red Bull driver. Where can he put it as he's coming around the final corner? And as the rear steps out for the Red Bull, where can he put that Red Bull? He does improve by 4/10 up to P7. Goes Cthulhu. Next, it'll be the V-Carb of Vintage control around the final corner, although not improving on his run. But Dobo next. 4/10 to the good. Big improvement for the Red Bull on the way as he crosses the line. It's a 22.4 for Dobo. Goes ahead of the V-Carb of Stephen Beecham. Brilliant lap time there from Dobo. Meanwhile, we have the Haas of Ollie Bean, who was invalid, not improving that lap time. May have to go for another attempt. Meanwhile, LTJ Ellis here improving by a good margin. Where can he put this Haas as he comes across the line? Does improve by a position. Jumps Scotland as he comes up to the line. Meanwhile, we got Michael Louis, or someone, I think that was Ty Clear, moving up to P4. Ty Clear now just shy of Michael Louis, about half a tenth back. Scotland says he got lost, couldn't remember where the pit lane was, and that is a man who has not raced in quite some time, returning. Anyway, who else do we have out on a lap as it stands? Michael Louis now. P2 in the championship is also out on a lap at this moment in time. 2/10 to the good. It said Michael Louis exiting sector 2. Can he get the run he needs out of the final corner? It looks to be a good exit for the Williams driver. Where's he going to put that? Williams. It's a 22.1. Big improvement there. 3/10 of the good for the McLaren of Michael Louis. And he's now on provisional pole with 5 minutes remaining in the session. Meanwhile, we've got Ozzy trying to set his first lap here in WHF. Will get an opportunity to set that first lap. And it will be a 26.5. Meanwhile, Ty Clear into the box as well. We've got the lanky one. Where can he put this Sauber? As around the final corner, the Sauber is going to come. But where can he put it as he crosses the line? It's going to be a 22.6. 3/10 improvement up to P5 goes the lanky one. But it seems like that top 6 is a little bit of a margin away as it stands. Meanwhile, Dubsy out there did an extra outlap to burn some fuel here and is now going on his first push lap here in the McLaren. Dubsy with a brilliant qualifying last time out, got P4 in Belgium, but a couple of contact with some drivers and Dubsy would fall down the order in the race. Hopefully we can get Dub returning to glory this time around. And Dub chucking it around there. There's a Ferrari though. Almost in the way, but just about out of the way. Left room for the McLaren here on a push lap. And it's looking a mighty fine lap from Dub as he comes up to the line. Although, is he out of fuel? Huh. He did improve to P11, did Dub. But I think he's out of fuel. Right before he came up to the line. That is surprising to see. I don't know if Dub has enough time to get round again and into the pit lane for more tyres. If he's out of fuel, it's going to be really touch and go whether he can make it. We don't even know how much time's left in the session because that yellow flag will just be out following Dub the entire time around the circuit. Meanwhile, we do have Scones out on a lap here in the Williams. Where can Scones put that Williams? Dubsy has 2:20 left in the session. I don't think he's enough time to get in and out again, so I think Dub's best qualifying position is going to be P11 here, which is unfortunate because we know Dub has some great pace in that McLaren from last week. Meanwhile, Scones out on a lap here. He was a 10th to the good. out of the second sector here. And round the final corner, where can he put this Williams? As up to the line he comes. Where will he go? He does improve there by over 3/10 up to P7. Goes the Williams. Brilliant performance there from Scones. Who else do we have out on a lap? Dubsy letting through a Ferrari. Stephen Beecham there out on a lap, but he's just starting. So I think the next driver around on a lap is Ollie Bean. This will probably be a couple of the drivers' final runs here, as they don't have enough time really to go in for more tyres. So and Ollie Bean's invalid. Hopefully he has enough fuel to get another run in. Meanwhile, we are going to go on board with Stephen Beecham, currently sitting P3, but looking very fast in that V-Corp today. Could he be one of the drivers vying for pole here? As there's a minute left in the session, Michael Louis still in the pit lane, so will not get out there. Stephen Beecham, though, backing out of the lap. We got Ty Clear also starting a lap. Dobo's out there on a lap. He's down on his time by almost 1/10. Michael Louis will not improve this session. He's set his final lap. He's in the pit lane, so Dobo, the next driver, to potentially pip him for pole, but he's going to need a monster final sector here if he wants pole, as we see some desync on board the Red Bull driver. Round the penultimate corner, does Dobo have the pace in the Red Bull here to get pole in Qatar with 20 seconds left? The flag is soon about to fall as Dobo now round the final corner. Where is he going to put the Red Bull as he crosses the line? Doesn't improve, so he will stay P2. We have Aussie D starting a lap. Ty Clear now 1/10 down on his time. If he is trying to get pole here, he's not good enough as Cthulhu's off in Sector 1. A Sector 1 exit for Cthulhu as Ty Clear crosses the line, no improvement. Aussie D, can he see Cthulhu there? Can't even see him in shot. Meanwhile, who else do we have out on a lap? Vintage Control will not improve. We have Ollie Bean out on a lap, but he's kind of in the way of D Sommers now, who's multiple times this qualifying session just started his lap too close to other drivers here, and it'll ultimately cost him. With D Sommers now does improve ahead of Scones, 2/10 to the good. D Sommers goes up to P7, and meanwhile we've got Coldzilla around up to P2, just behind his championship rival, as the lanky one is next across the line, improves to P5. Stephen Beecham now 2/10 down, will not improve, and I think that is everything for qualifying now. Aussie D, the last driver to get a lap time on the board, but Michael Louis P2 in the championship, just ahead of Coldzilla, who's P3 in the championship. As Brian Kipp in the chat says, you like him and go no brakes into turn 1, as Aussie D's going to cross the line now and improves on his lap time slightly, and will start P14. But the driver we do have on pole will be Michael Louis, starting ahead of Coldzilla, who are vying for the championship here. Meanwhile, Kevin Cal has decided to start from the back of the race to give himself but there you have it, Michael Louis on pole by just under 1/10. And a reminder, Ty Clear's got that quali ban, unfortunately, to serve. Eggs in the pit lane need contact with Vintage Control. As in the tier 2 chat, someone is sounding off again at Ollie, but they've got the wrong Ollie. So, a bit funny there. Anywho, hopefully no drivers ready up early, as I'll tell the drivers when to go, and hopefully everyone listens. We'll most likely not have a wet race, as this is Qatar. I'd be very surprised if we did get a wet race, but hopefully we can all have a clean getaway. And this will most likely be a medium hard or a hard medium. The softs here don't work very well, and I don't imagine any of the drivers will touch them. If they do touch them, it's the wrong choice, because you need to be very good at the game to make the softs work. And unfortunately, I don't think any of us here are that good to make the softs work at Qatar. I hate to be a dampener, but unfortunately I don't think any of us have the ability to use softs as well. Although, you never know. Kevin Cal could do medium soft and somehow pull out a victory, doing an absolute miracle stint, which I would not put past him. But we'll see. But as we wait, what I must do is enter in the results provisionally in case some math for the championship is needed. Because if Kevin Kell outscores the drivers here by enough points, he could win the championship. So I'm just gonna make sure that the 3 championship protagonists are on the sheet, ready to go if I need to do some math after the race. Brian Kippy says he'd love if he sees someone go no brakes into turn 1. Brian Kippy just wants war, apparently, in turn 1. If anyone were to go no brakes into turn 1, Brian Kippy, we'd be probably doing a restart, and that person would be maybe removed from the league very swiftly. So that's why we don't go no brakes into turn 1, people. Anyone caught doing no brakes in turn 1 may be banned. So let's not have that controversy. Pretty please. As it's now 8:30, hopefully everyone's picked their strategies and their tyres. It is technically possible to do it cleanly in Qatar. Not really at all, Brian. Not really. You kind of need a little bit of a break. I know you could be going only down to 4th or 5th. But you still need some break. You know, you cannot get away with doing no break into turn 1. But lots of engine braking. You need the actual brake applied as well, Brian, to make that work. Anyway, we have the countdown starting. And we will have the 5 red lights on here in Qatar as Michael Louis will lead away the field. And the lights are out as Michael Louis gets us underway here ahead of his championship rival Coldzilla, as Kevin Kell will start from the back. Can he make any inroads? This is a bad start for Coldzilla. Already in a turn 1, Stephen Beecham dives in on the inside. Coldzilla now down to P4, jousting over the podium positions with Dobos. There's a little bit of contact with the Red Bull, the lanky one now trying to look for a way through on Coldzilla, as there's a lot of jousting here for positions already here on lap 1. As we've got Ollie Bean looking on the inside of Scones as we see D. Summers go wide. Ollie Bean now trying to find a way through as there's contact for one of the cars. Someone's got damage here already. I'm not quite sure who it was, as Aussie D can see cars every direction. As side by side, everyone going through every corner. It's Ollie Bean has already picked up damage here, as there's cars absolutely everywhere here on lap 1. Ollie Bean with early damage here as D. Summers gets ahead of Scones. Aussie D continuing contact with Ollie Bean as there's contact between Dubsy as well. And Dubsy will get through on Ollie Bean, who just doesn't have any front wing left to turn in. And Vintage Control gets ahead as well. Cars absolutely everywhere here on lap 1. Meanwhile, Coldzilla trying to recover from his poor start here. Can he get back past ahead of Dobo here as Cthulhu into the box? Damage for Cthulhu in the Red Bull, as Coldzilla now going to get back into P3 now off the start. It's been a brilliant start for Stephen Beecham here. No podium so far this season, but this could be a big result for Stephen Beecham. Meanwhile, Ty Clear makes the move ahead of Scones. But really important to note, there's already a 3.7 gap between P6 and P5. Sci-Fi in the chat, who's missing the race today, says no one's staying on the track, and you're absolutely right. There's already a monster gap formed between the top 5 and everyone else. My lord. Mega gaps here as Kevin now into P11 already here. On lap 2. 5 positions gained in a lap. And Kevin, and Ledgeman off into the gravel. Mistake for LTJ Ellis. And he'll have to lick his wounds and recover from that one. Meanwhile, Dubsy going to lose out to Kevin Cal, who's already cutting his way through the pack here on lap 2, as he sees the Ferrari of Aussie D next on his radar. And with DRS, it should be a comfortable move for the championship leader here, as Michael Loy sets the fastest lap, which is quickly pipped by Stephen Beecham now. And with DRS enabled, can Stephen Beecham close to the Williams driver? No, just not close enough. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell gets straight ahead of Aussie D with Dub Z now. Oh, what was that from Dub Z? Went to go for the inside, then switched to the outside. Very weird move there from Dub Z. Surely had the inside line, but oh no, side by side he goes with the Ferrari. Bit of wheel banging, contact with the Ferrari as they both go off, and it's a horrific rejoin from the Ferrari. Contact with Dub Z in the McLaren. Anywho, the gap between P5 and 6 still stays at 3.8 seconds. The top 5 here still jousting over a potential win here. Michael Louis, P2 in the championship, leading this train. Meanwhile, the championship leader down in P9, who was confident enough to not even do qualifying. Meanwhile, a yellow flag out. Who's that for? It's LTJ Ellis off again. Really struggling at the start of this race is Ledgeman. Meanwhile, the lanky one closing to Dobo. As we got Stephen Beecham now into the lead of the race. Goes the V-carb. And I think that's the first time of his WHF career, Stephen Beecham leading a race now. Stephen Beecham has unlocked a different level of pace here today, and leads his first Grand Prix here, followed by 2 of the championship protagonists, as there's another yellow flag out there. This time it's for Cthulhu, I believe. Oh no, it's Vintage Control there, trying to get going again. Meanwhile, Michael Loy still following Stephen Beecham. And in a reminder, I know this is going to bring out the commentator's curse, but this track is it is very important or important to avoid track limit penalties. And we'll see after that statement how quickly someone picks one up on lap 4. Meanwhile, a yellow flag out for Ellis. May have made a little mistake into the hairpin, trying to get recovered now. Meanwhile, Codzilla closing to Michael Loy, as Michael Loy closing to Stephen Beecham, as they all battle for P1 here in this top 5 train that has already gapped the bottom 6 behind, as Michael Loy going to get straight into P1. Meanwhile, Codzilla going to look on the inside of Stephen Beecham here, and Stephen Beecham keeps it round the outside of the McLaren driver and keeps it ahead, maintaining that P2 position. Meanwhile, D Summers now into the pit lane for the Aston Martin. Potentially going to go hards, as we've got the ability to look at the tyres for everyone. As the lanky one still all over the rear of Dobo here. Tie clear, 4.5 back from that lead train. And with all the drivers squabbling, it has built this massive gap here. But Cthulhu, Ollie Bean, D Summers already in the hards early here. It'll be a bit of a stretch to make them go to the end. May be tough to do. Meanwhile, Scones following the rear of the Ferrari of Tide Clear already here on lap 5. As Scotland up to P9. Brilliant comeback drive here for Scotland, as he returns to WHF Tier 2, as he's got the debutant of Aussie D in the Ferrari behind, trying to catch the Mercedes. Meanwhile, here on lap 5, Stephen Beecham continues to head down the road after Michael Louis. Can he retake the lead? As it seems to be a lot of just working together here and DRS training off each other. Stephen Beecham going to retake the lead here. Can Godzilla see an opening on his championship rival? I'm sure they're all more worried about Kevin Kell, who's now comfortably in P8 in clear air here. As the lanky one continuing to put pressure on Dobo. Although Dobo seems to have been desynced this whole session, really. So a bit of a worry is Dobo, meanwhile, out of the final corner. LTG Ellis gets ahead of Vintage Control as D Summers now may come under pressure from Cthulhu. But not close enough for a move as Godzilla continues to follow along. Michael Louis here in the championship. For those of you new here to WHF, this is the penultimate round of the season for Tier 2. And as it stands, Kevin Kell leads the championship ahead of Michael Louis and Godzilla. And as it stands, they would both close in the championship to their championship rival, who currently sits P8 out on track. This would do wonders for their championship fight. As Michael Louis going to retake the lead. Godzilla, though, going to come through on the V-carb. And it is now your qualifying order reset. Michael Louis and Godzilla lead the front row, followed by Stephen Beecham, Dobo, and the lanky one. The lanky one been close to the rear of Dobo here the whole race, but unable to find a way through. Meanwhile, Dubsy goes very to the inside to make sure he gets through on Aussie D. As they had contact earlier, I'm pretty sure Dub pretty concerned, battling with the Ferrari as... oh, bit of contact between the lanky one and Dobo. The lanky one coming together with the Red Bull driver, who continuously seems to be desynced. Meanwhile, we've got a battle here down in P15 as Vintage Control goes very deep, and Cthulhu gets ahead of the V-carb. But the lanky one unable to get through on Dobo. Who every so often you'll see his car just jumping around a little bit. Meanwhile, D Summers getting ahead of LTJ Ellis and Cthulhu as well. But Cthulhu has got damage on that front left end plate of that Red Bull as LTJ Ellis looking to get back through again on the Red Bull now. Meanwhile, Scones on the inside now of Ty Clear cuts the inside corner. And that's a 3-second time penalty for Scones, who cut too much of the track there, trying to get ahead of the Ferrari, and he picks up his first time penalty of the evening here on lap 8. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a track that is big for track limit penalties, so if you can avoid track limit penalties, you'll be in a good position. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell now eating into the time of Scones and Ty Clear, and Kevin Kell now would have a net P7 in this race due to Scones' penalty here. Meanwhile, the lanky one continuing to be all over the gearbox of the Red Bull driver of Dobo. As this top 5, a very competitive top 5, is Ollie Bean into the pit lane, possibly to fix a front wing as well. Cthulhu out there with a broken front wing as well, may need his fixed relatively soon. Although he's on the hards, so may want to wait until it is time for him to go to the mediums before fixing that front wing. Meanwhile, Godzilla now trying to put pressure on Michael Louis into turn 1. And Godzilla now going to take the lead of the race down into turn 1, which would be ideal for Godzilla's championship hopes, as Ollie Bean now already a lap down. Heartbreak for the Haas here, already on lap 9. Just a couple of coming togethers have forced Ollie Bean into the pit lane one too many times. As D Summers picks up his first time penalty of the evening. trying to recover from his early contact as well. But this top 5, keeping it very respectable here. And I'm sure as the pit window opens, the gloves will come off momentarily before they resume on their hard stint. And towards the final 5 laps of the race, I'm sure the gloves will come off again. But I'm sure as the pit window opens, we'll see, does anyone go for any dangerous moves trying to get an advantage, whether it be an undercut or an overcut. Meanwhile, the lanky one continuously all on the rear of Dobo now. And the lanky one, can he finally get through on Dobo? As Dobo defends to the inside, the lanky one going to try to send it round the outside, but Dobo does enough to defend. But it may be a lovely switchback from the Sauber if he can get it to stick. Meanwhile, Michael Oy did retake the lead of the race. We have the lanky one all over the rear of Dobo now, and gonna have to back out as Dobo gonna keep it ahead of the Sauber driver. But great battling now from the lanky one and Dobo, as they have to worry about staying in DRS range as well of the cars ahead. And this has been a mega drive so far for Stephen Beecham, looking at his first podium of his WHF career. And hopefully a good result is on the horizon for Stephen Beecham. But anyone in this top 5 realistically could win the race. But as it stands, the favourites look to be Michael Lewis and Codzilla, who sit P1 and 2 in the championship. Or well, P2 and 3 in the championship. You got to remember, Kevin Kell, the leader of the championship, is now in DRS range of Scones ahead. And I'm sure Scones is starting to sweat now, with the championship leader in the Alpine in his mirrors. As Scotland picks up his first time penalty of the evening, battling with Dubsy. Dubsy, who essentially has taken Scotland's Tier 2 seat in that McLaren. Scotland had won the Constructors' Championship with Codzilla seasons ago, and Dubsy picks up his first time penalty of the day, trying to defend from Scotland. But Dubsy now is the teammate of the McLaren. Meanwhile, Michael Lewis gets through on Codzilla. Down into turn 4, so that may have been a risky move from the Williams, as we've seen them both swap through turn 4 and 5, although we weren't on board with them because we were worried about what Dubsy was doing. But back into the lead battle here. Meanwhile, Ollie Bean, who does have the fresher mediums on, is holding on to this train, trying to see how good his pace can be now that he is a lap down. Is he able to hold on to the leaders? And Ollie Bean, if you're listening in the chat, if a safety car comes out, do not box. You need to unlap yourself first, then you can pit. Welcome into the stream, Romeo, as well, if you're still here. Meanwhile, Codzilla, the first driver to dive into the box. And hard tyres going on the McLaren now. And he is the first driver to go into the pit lane. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell. We've also got Ty Clare into the pit lane, looking to undercut Scones here to try and catch up to that lead train as well. Scones now has Kevin Kell for company in the Alpine all over his rear. Can Kevin Kell find a way through on the medium runner here? Meanwhile, Dobo almost out of DRS range from Stephen Beecham and Michael Lewis. I think once you're out of DRS range, it's kind of curtain, so I think Dobo should probably come in this lap for the hards if he cannot stay in DRS range. Meanwhile, Codzilla dives it on the hairpin ahead of his old teammate in the McLaren, although Scotland now in the Mercedes. losing a position to his old teammate, but Coldzilla now sees his new teammate this season in Dub Z ahead of him. I wonder will Dub help Coldzilla with some DRS down the main straight, which will also help Coldzilla pull off this undercut that he's trying to do as Michael Louis into the pit lane, along with the other top four of Stephen Beecham, Dobo, the lanky one. Scone's going to come in now. Kevin Kell going to extend, who started on the hards, as Scones with a 10-second time penalty into the pit lane. That's certainly not going to help him here. Meanwhile, it's the McLarens who are going to work together here to try and help Coldzilla pull off this undercut. I'm sure Dub now going to give his teammate a toe down the main straight, and Coldzilla now will have a net P1, but where will Michael Louis emerge into turn one? Dub's going to try and dive it around the outside, but just does not have the grip on those hard tyres. But this may be important in the battle for the lead, as Stephen Beecham now stuck behind Dub Z, who is not boxed yet, and may cost him time through the middle sector, as Lime in the chat says, come on brother, rooting for Michael Louis. And Beecham now on the rear of Dub, trying to find a way through, but just cannot get past. Meanwhile, Michael Louis trying to hold on to the DRS of Coldzilla. Coldzilla trying to give it everything, trying to work this undercut on Michael Louis. Michael Louis struggling to get these hards fired up now. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham still on the rear of Stephen Beecham, as the lanky one dives it on Dobo. Side by side they go through turn 10, as the lanky one still trying to find a way through on Dobo on the Red Bull. Bit of contact as they send it through turn 12, and Dubsy helping Coldzilla massively here. Although, is he really? Because in essence he's helping Michael Louis score the maximum points as well. But Dobo going to try to send it on Stephen Beecham. Big contact with the side pod of the V-Corb. Meanwhile, Dub going to try and keep these drivers behind. He's going to go to the inside to try and keep them behind. But, oh no, we may have a 4 wide down the main straight here in Qatar. Absolutely amazing camera shot there, as Stephen Beecham going to keep P4, as the lanky one's still trying to find a way past Dub, but he may finally get it here. But the lanky one's still battling with everything he has, trying to keep the Red Bull behind, but the Red Bull holding on so desperately, and the lanky one finally gets ahead of Dobo. But with all his battling and the help of Dub Z, Stephen Beecham now is 2.4 behind Michael Louis and Coldzilla, which essentially means the battle for victory here in Qatar goes down to 2 men. It'll either be Coldzilla or Michael Louis, unless the safety car can mix this up here. Also got to remember Kevin Kell here on the hards, trying to extend to go on the mediums. We'll keep an eye on what pace he can manage by the end of this race here. But Dub Z staying out in those hards helps Coldzilla a little bit, but in the way he also didn't help his teammate, because ideally for Coldzilla, he'd want Stephen Beecham, the lanky one, and Dobo all taking points away here from Michael Louis. And as it stands, it looks like Michael Louis at least will have a podium here in Qatar as he retakes the lead here. Meanwhile, Scones down in P9 picks up another time penalty. He's now got 16 seconds of penalties, and he's going to desperately need a safety car here to get rid of that 10 second they got for speeding in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham on the rear of the lanky one as they continue to lose time to Michael Louis and Coldzilla. As it looks like a 2-horse race here up at the front for the lead. Meanwhile, we're going to keep an eye on Kevin Kell, what he can do whenever he finally decides to box. When will that be? And when does he go into the mediums? If he goes into the softs, ain't no way he's winning. But if he goes into the mediums, is there a chance of Kevin Kell here winning the championship here in Qatar? He would need a lot of things to go his way still, Kevin, to win the championship here in Qatar. He would need to outscore Michael Louis and Coldzilla by a bit of a margin in order to make it happen. Meanwhile, Aussie D picks up another time penalty down in P13. Meanwhile, Stephen Beecham almost outside DRS range from the lanky one, just about holding on. Meanwhile, Godzilla just keeping it behind, but Stephen Beecham now losing time to the lanky one. He's got to do something to hold on to the rear of that Sauber if he does want a potential podium here. A reminder that Kevin Kell, yet to box, still is playing an important role in this race. Kevin Kell, when he does switch to the mediums, could be a spanner in the works for the rest of the drivers here. But the real battle for the lead is between Godzilla and Michael Louis. Currently sit P2 and 3 in the championship. And once Kevin Kell boxes, if he finishes down the order, Michael Louis and Godzilla will both gain on him before the final round we have in Brazil. As Kevin Kell going to come in now here as we start lap 16. Kevin Kell now in for the medium tyres. We'll see what the Alpine driver can do as Dobo picks up a time penalty, which is going to essentially cost him in the battle for the podium here. With Stephen Beecham now still holding on to the DRS of the lanky one. But Dobo and Aussie D's out. It could be a safety car. And it is a safety car. That is mega for Kevin Kell, who's going to follow the safety car out of the pit lane. Ty Clear will get ahead of Kevin, but Kevin may not lose as much time as he thought he was going to. And this safety car massively helps Kevin Kell in the battle for victory here. And this could be a massive spanner in the works here to help Kevin Kell win the championship here in Qatar. Absolute drama for those of you just returning from the ad break. A safety car caused by the Ferrari of Aussie D going out. Now Kevin Kell, who... Oh, it's a drive-through for the lanky one. Drive-through for Stephen Beecham, who literally had to go into reverse trying to avoid the drive-through. But heartbreak. Absolute heartbreak for the lanky one and Stephen Beecham, who may miss out on a podium now. And Kevin Kell, I am sure, is absolutely licking his lips at the thought of potentially getting a podium here that will essentially eliminate the damage done by Michael Louis and Godzilla here in Qatar. Will Michael Louis, Godzilla, or the lanky one, etc. come in for mediums? They are. Michael Louis is coming in for mediums, which will give Kevin Kell a net P1 as Stephen Beecham trying to get ahead of Dobo, it seems. Ty Clear going to come in, but Kevin Kell is going to inherit the lead here in Qatar. Absolutely amazing for the Alpine. I'm sure he did not imagine this before the race, that he would be in P1 essentially on pace, because his tyres are only a lap older than everyone else around him. As well as a lot of drivers here who are in the battle behind him. The lanky one, Stephen Beecham, will have to serve drive-throughs, which I'm sure will create gaps behind. But who would have thought it? Your championship order is looking pretty similar to the standings here. Kevin Kell leads the championship and the race, just ahead of Michael Louis, who's also P2 in the championship, ahead of Godzilla, who's P3 in the championship. Meanwhile, Dobo is P4 in the championship, just behind the lanky one on track, who is P5 in the championship. So your top 5 in the championship, also your top 5 out on track. But really, really heartbreak here for Stephen Beecham and the lanky one, who have drive-through penalties. But this will surely benefit the likes of Dobo, Dubsy, Scones, etc. Although Scones did have major time penalties, although I'm sure now that we look at the penalties, Scones has served his 10-second penalty in the pit lane. But drive-throughs as Ollie Bean gets ahead of Vintage Control. He's boxing here for fresher tyres. But drive-throughs for Stephen Beecham and the lanky one. And at a point in this race, the lanky one, Stephen Beecham, looked like they were in the battle for the win. It looked like they even might be favourites for a podium, but now that drive-through has absolutely thrown it out of the window here. But Kevin Kell is the happiest driver in the field, out there leading the race, and this might be massive for the championship. If Kevin Kell can extend his championship lead over the rest of the field, it might be too big of an ask as we head to Brazil for the final round. As I'm just scrolling through my phone on TikTok, and I just seen Ty Clear's live stream on TikTok as well. I accidentally scrolled because I'm looking at the We Have Fun TikTok live stream, and I just seen Ty is also streaming on TikTok. Ty down in P8, and could the Ferrari finally get a good result here? Who has been very unlucky here in WHF and deserves a big result as clutch for Kevin, says Brian, and you're absolutely right, as we'll have a look at the standings here. I wonder, does this come up on screen? If we can get this up. Does it come up? I don't think it does. Uno momentum. There we are. Let me copy and paste this to the right screen. Gameplay. As there is your standings. Kevin Kell leads the championship ahead of Codzilla and Michael Louis, and Kevin Kell now in to P1 in this race as Ollie Bean picks up a 3-second time penalty under the safety car. That is really not ideal. But the safety car might be in this lap. I think it may extend because of Vintage Control not caught up to the pack here. And all this is doing really is helping make sure that Kevin Kell's tyres make it to the end. Which I'm sure Kevin Kell's absolutely buzzing about. Following the safety car, everyone on to fresh mediums, apart from LTJ Ellis, who's on the hards. If he can hear me, probably should box for mediums while he's there, because he will only lose one position. But he did not hear me. Anyway. We do have... I would like to hear everyone in the chat's predictions here before we get restarted, as LTG Ellis has let through Ollie Bean, which was strange. Did Ellis have a mistake that let through his teammate, or was he just letting through his teammate? I wonder. But potentially a mistake from Ellis there again this race. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell will get us restarted here. And a reminder to everyone listening, Kevin Kell could win the championship here in the penultimate round of the season here in Tier 2. If Kevin Kell wins by a big enough margin, with Michael Louis and Codzilla potentially falling down the order. That would open the door to a Kevin Kell championship victory here in Qatar. But as we will have 9 laps of racing, as the safety car will be in this lap, what can the drivers do here to prevent Kevin Kell from pulling out another great result out of the bag. They've surely got to maximise their exit here to make sure Kevin Kell does not escape off into the distance. And when will Kevin Kell drop the hammer here? As out of the final corner, the Alpine is going to go. But can the Williams stay with the Alpine? As the Alpine looks to go to the inside to break the toe. As we all are snaking down that main straight in Qatar. Battling for victory is many a driver out here, but a lot of drivers are out there with penalties. Kevin, Michael, Godzilla, Ty and Cthulhu, all the drivers who've avoided them so far. And hopefully they can hold on for the remaining laps to avoid any more time penalties here. As we move on here on lap 21, Kevin Kell 8/10 to the good ahead of Michael Louis. Michael Louis got to use some of that battery, otherwise Kevin will escape and he'll never see him again. And Michael really has to use the battery, otherwise the Alpine will escape down the road. And Michael smartly making sure that he stays with the Alpine. He cannot allow him to escape here. And Michael and Godzilla have to work together to put the Alpine under as much pressure as possible here, because they need the Alpine to fall down the order as much as possible here in Qatar if they want the championship victory. Meanwhile, the lanky one all over the rear of Godzilla, who's trying to defend from the Sauber driver, who may go to the inside and look for the move into P3, but backs out, battling with the McLaren, as Dobo falling a bit back from the lanky one. The lanky one and Stephen Beecham, remember, still have to serve drive-through penalties under this restart. Meanwhile, Godzilla 9/10 back from the battle for the lead. And Michael Louis, honestly, it's a weird situation to be in. He has to help another one of his championship rivals in Godzilla stay with Kevin Kell. Otherwise, Kevin Kell is going to lose so little amount of points that it may be too unassailable in Brazil to pull it off. Godzilla now 1.1 outside DRS of Michael Louis. And Michael Louis is going to do something to help Godzilla stay in DRS range here. Otherwise, the championship could be curtains for both of them. Pretty much everyone on the grid is against Kevin Kell this race. They have to work together to make sure that he scores as little points as possible. And Michael Louis comfortably inside DRS range now. Is Godzilla inside DRS range? It's so marginal. I think he's just out, and that could be curtains for Godzilla's battle for the win here. He's outside DRS range. I'm sure he's giving it everything. The lanky one and Stephen Beecham now into the pit lane to serve their drive-thrus, which may build some gaps here. Michael Louis now into the lead ahead of Kevin Kell, but Godzilla now 1.3 behind Kevin Kell. And Michael Louis, if you're listening, you need to hold up Kevin Kell. You need to cost the Alpine as much points as possible. If he finishes P2, that is going to do very little in the championship. You realistically need to help Godzilla finish ahead of Kevin Kell if you do want to win this one. But as it stands, Kevin Kell continues to put Michael Louis under pressure. Meanwhile, Scones switching positions with D. Sommers as D. Sommers gets into P7. Ty Clear now 2 seconds back from Dobo following that the drive-through serving of the lanky one and Stephen Beecham, which would push them down to the back of the field. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell now on the rear of Michael Louis, and I'm not sure Michael Louis knows that he essentially needs to help the McLaren here get back in DRS, because without Owen Ty Clear picks up a time penalty, that's going to cost him in the battle for the podium here. And it looks like the podium will only be Michael Louis, Kevin and Godzilla, as Kevin Kell now going to pick the outside of the Williams And side by side they go into turn 1, and Kevin Kell gets through as the gap now is to 1.6 to the McLaren. As time progresses, it looks like it's going to be another big points haul for Kevin Kell. How big will it be? We will see. But Godzilla fighting for his life out there. Still 1.5 for Michael Louis. And Michael Louis has to overtake Kevin Kell and then go non-ERS through the middle sector to hold up Kevin Kell. Otherwise, the championship could be as good as one for Kevin Kell before he even head to Brazil. Because if Kevin Kell even finishes this race in P2, he'll still have a big margin over Michael Louis in the championship, as Scones picks up another time penalty. Really struggling here in Qatar. And Michael Louis now on the rear of the Alpine. On lap 25, can Michael Louis do anything to close up to the Alpine? Doesn't seem like it, as Dobo going to get ahead of Godzilla now. Godzilla though looking for the switchback on the Red Bull driver. And side by side they go through turn 2. And the McLaren going to keep it ahead now, but the gap's now at 2.1. And Godzilla now looking like a P3 will be his best result as Scones retires in the pit lane. He's unhappy with his performance today. Meanwhile, Dobo on the rear of Godzilla. As Vintage Control picks up another time penalty. Battling with Stephen Beecham, who's still trying to recover. He looks on the inside of his teammate, who's still defending. Stephen Beecham now finally may get through on his teammate, and he does. But as we continue on here, Michael, if you're... Oh, the lanky one picks up a time penalty. That's certainly not going to help him trying to recover following that drive through. A little bit of contact with Ellis pushes him off track. As Ty Clear picks up another time penalty here, battling with Dub Z. Surely not going to help him here. Michael, if you're listening, go non-ERS in the middle sector. Hold up Kevin Kell as Ty Clear goes back into P5. Ahead of Dub Z and ahead of D Summers now. But Dobo looks like he's got P4 cemented out there. Godzilla looks like he has... oh no, I spoke too soon. I was about to say he has P3 cemented, but now with that time penalty, it is a straight fight between Godzilla and Dobo for position. Dobo could pick up a podium here if he finishes ahead of Godzilla, which would certainly hurt him in the championship here. And as I've been... Ellis now losing out to Stephen Beecham, who gets back into P12, trying to recover from that drive-through. That would ultimately cost him a lot of positions, but it doesn't seem like Michael Louis can hear me here. He doesn't seem to know that he's essentially got to hold up Kevin Kell and play some games with the Alpine if he does want to help himself in the championship even more than he already is. At this point now, Michael Louis just focused on getting the win, which would outscore Kevin Kell by some points, but he would need a bit more, ideally. As Dobo on the inside again of Godzilla, as Dub Z gets ahead of Ty Clear. As they're both ahead of D Summers, but Dobo now into P3 here on lap 27. And this, as Ollie Bean battling with Scotland here. The Haas and the Mercedes down battling number P9 at this time. And Ollie Bean, he picks up another time penalty. And going to send it round the outside of the hairpin. But Scotland going to get it ahead. But Ollie Bean, has he got the switchback there in the Haas? A very good move here if he can pull it off. Again going for another switchback as Scotland trying to defend from the Haas driver. Still side by side they go, and in contact with Ollie Bean and Scotland there. A bit of a coming together. Meanwhile, Tycler definitely picking up another warning here. Trying to find a way back through again as D. Summers and Ellis pick up a time penalty. Godzilla now on the rear. As on the penultimate lap we go, Kevin Cal retakes the lead here. Michael Louis will have DRS on the final lap as Godzilla gets ahead. Dubsy gonna lose out to Ty Clear down the straight, but Dubsy also will have DRS on the final lap. Michael Louis has to stay close enough to Kevin Cal here on this final lap to try and make the move on the final lap to win here. But does he have the pace to stay with the Alpine driver? We will see. Meanwhile, Dubsy on the rear of Ty Clear as the battle here continues to heat up. As Cthulhu picks up his first time penalty of the day. Only 3 drivers without time penalties. Kevin Cal, Michael Louis and Stephen Beecham. And Stephen will surely jump some positions, avoiding penalties here. But as we head now on to the final lap, following Sector 3, does Michael Louis have enough pace in the Williams to win here in Qatar ahead of the Alpine as they now are going to exit the final corner? Does Michael Louis have enough pace in the Williams to get ahead of Kevin Cal and win here? As Kevin Cal goes to the inside of the track, but that rear light is flashing on the Alpine and the Williams is going to fly past the Alpine here on the final lap. Michael Louis going to take the lead here of the race, which will help him close to his championship rival. Meanwhile, Dubsy going to get ahead of Ty Clear. Ty Clear sends it in though, very late. Battling over P5 now, side by side they still go. Round the outside does the Ferrari. And a major move if he can get it to stick. Very late braking move as D. Summers now going to look on the inside of Dubsy as Dubsy defends here on the final lap. Absolutely chaotic racing here on the final lap. And a beautiful move from Ty Clear to keep ahead of Dubsy, but I wonder does Ty Clear have more penalties? We'll have to see by the end of this one. But as we enter the final sector, as Ollie Bean does get ahead of Scotland. Good move there into turn 4 for Ollie Bean. Meanwhile, does Kevin Cal have enough pace here through sector 3 to get back past Michael Louis? This is the battle for the victory here, right here on the final lap. Does Kevin Cal and the Alpine have enough pace on the Williams as they're going to round the penultimate corner? Is the Alpine close enough to catch the Williams? The Williams has fought long and hard this whole race, and from pole, Michael Louis is going to round the final corner now, and he's going to win in Qatar ahead of Kevin Cal as Dubsy picks up another time penalty, which may cost him in the battle for P5. Godzilla going to finish on the podium, but Ty Clear now going to finish ahead of Dubsy, with Dubsy picking up that extra 3 seconds of penalties on the final lap, which would cost him P5 here in Qatar, as Cthulhu going to round out in P8 as Scotland and Ollie Bean still battling over position as Stephen Beecham now in a drag race going to finish ahead of both drivers now up to P9. Does Stephen Beecham go to recover some points for himself, and V-Carb finishes 400ths ahead of the lanky one via that time penalty, as Ellis finishes P14 and Vintage Control down in P14. But in the chat, Scotland says GG, good to be back, and it is good to be back, and points on return for Scotland. And Kevin Cal is your driver of the day, started from last and finished in P2. Michael Louis will close in the championship, and we'll look at the championship standings here as the drivers celebrate. It was Michael Louis who won ahead of Kevin, followed by Cod. I'm trying to think who got the fastest lap as well, because that will play an important factor here. But Michael Louis wins here in Qatar, closes himself up in the championship lead to Kevin Cal, as Godzilla finishes P3 will have an outside chance at winning in Qatar, with Kevin Cal extending his margin over Godzilla. And Michael Louis gets the important fastest lap of the race, 800ths ahead of Kevin Cal, which will give him an extra point in closing in the championship to Kevin Cal. And as we tally up the results, we'll have a look at where everyone is in the championship, as we'll give Michael Louis the fastest lap here. See where that puts Michael as we head into the final round of the season. As I don't know, it's not really added the thing correctly, but anyway. Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. It's not really adding Michael Louis' points correctly. Why is that? I have no idea why the sheet is doing this. This is weird. Oh, there we are. Finally, it has given Michael Louis points. Let's look at what that has done to the championship, as I will drag this over, and oh my lord, it is a lot closer than I thought it was for Michael Louis and Kevin Cal here. Godzilla's got an outside shot. I did say it was important for Michael Louis to help Godzilla there, because if Godzilla had taken points off Kevin Cal there, the championship would be even closer. But as we head to the driver interviews, I'll see, does anyone want interviewed here? I'll message them all in the chat now to see if they want to join us for some driver interviews. But 5 points now separate Kevin Cal, and as we'll make this a bit bigger on the screen for everyone so we can see, 5 points separate Kevin Cal and Michael Louis in the championship battle here, as Godzilla realistically has an outside chance at the championship here. He's on 174 points to Michael Louis' 188 and Kevin Cal's 193. Excuse me. But we'll start that the interviews off with Godzilla finishing in P3. Godzilla, how'd the race go for you?
Well, it was going well after that first stint. Got the undercut. Just doing my thing, you know. Hopefully me and Michael could just like pull away from the pack behind. Then just settling in, getting the hards up to temperature. And then obviously that safety car. So it was like a no-brainer to box for the fresh mediums. Then I have a Sauber who has a drive-through sticking his nose in places where he shouldn't be stuck. So ultimately that lost me the DRS to Kevin and Michael, and basically that was it. It was fight for P3. So, and now I've got to basically hope for a miracle at Brazil and just basically just fully send my McLaren.
Well, it was a good result. Nonetheless, you did finish on the podium, but we did see, as I seen you unfortunately drop out of DRS, I was shouting at Michael Louis to try and help you back, because I thought it was important for Michael Louis himself to help take points away from Kevin Cal. But nonetheless, Michael Louis...
Yeah, I mean, there was no point for Michael to damage his own race, and, you know, we needed to take points off Kevin anyway. He needed to take points off Kevin. He was in a more situation. There's no real point in like just trying to drag back, because you're going to not only drag me, you're going to drag Dobo into it and possibly the pack behind. So he just needed to do what he needed to do. I just weren't very pleased with the Sauber driver who had a drive through that should have basically boxed instantly. You're losing positions. You don't need to fight. You just if you want to stick with me and try and gain as much time as possible behind before pitting, then fine. But don't stick your nose in places where you're not going to overtake. It was silly. And as you can tell, I'm quite annoyed about it because ultimately that lost me a fight for potentially the win, regardless whether I would have got a penalty or not.
Yeah, quite annoying. And I'm looking at the standings now on the stream, and for you to win the championship, you need at minimum P3 with pole in the fastest lap, or P2 and above. And also in that scenario, you would need essentially Kevin Kell and Michael Ow to not score points. So hopefully when they're battling for the championship win, they both take each other out, and you just
either way,
you just slip on through.
Either way, it's going. Yeah, I mean, either way, it wasn't decided today, which in theory was mine and Michael's job to do. It wasn't going to be done today. If anything, we were going to take it to Brazil. You know, Michael. I knew Michael was getting a bit worried at the start, thinking I was going to fully send it. He knows me better than that. I just was having a bit of banter with him. But I just felt very pace. I felt like I clearly had the pace to challenge for the win. But yeah, we move. We'll go on to Brazil, and I'll just have to do what I can do. Hopefully, the rain maybe intervenes, knowing that Michael and Kevin do struggle in the rain. So hopefully that could spice it up. But either way, I'm looking forward to Brazil. I'm looking forward to next week, and we'll just see what we can do.
Yeah, well, best of luck for you, Godzilla. And if you win the championship, I do want to see it, because then something biblical would have happened in the finale, and that would be amazing to watch.
I'm just going to do my thing, right? I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to treat it like it's the first race of the season. Get on the pace instantly, and we'll just see what scenarios take place.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, there you had it. There was Godzilla, who finished P3, sits P3 in the championship with an outside chance at winning in the championship in Brazil. But we'll talk to the man of the hour today, Michael Ow, picking up the victory in Qatar. Michael, how'd that race go for you?
Yeah, thank you, Aero. It was very boring at the beginning. Quali was kind of a surprise. I don't know why I saved a set of softs, because when I realised that the softs would die after 2 laps, there was no point. But luckily, qualified on pole was pretty cool. I was watching you, Cod, at the first corner, but you got mugged by Stephen Beecham in the end, off of the first corner, and then it was just me, Cod, and Stephen, kind of in a battle of our own, because the other guys, the Sauber and Dobo, were kind of just hanging on. So I felt like that was how the race was going to go, but Kevin Cow is inevitable. I don't know how he managed to make his strategy work. He obviously had way more pace on the hards than I thought he would have done. And he pitted, and then the safety car came out, which was highly suspicious.
Well, in truth, I have not seen a man get more lucky than I did a man in that race, where Kevin Kell was, making his own luck in that race by doing a very good stint on the hards, but he was still a good 8 or so seconds back from you, maybe even more. And then right after he boxes onto the mediums, the safety car comes out, which essentially, and he follows the safety car out of the pit lane. That's how perfect it was timed for him. That's how insane that was. So that literally couldn't have helped Kevin Kell anymore into P1, as everyone boxed for the mediums as well for that final stint. But
So
go ahead.
I came out behind Kevin, and I knew that at all costs I just needed to finish ahead of him. I kind of wasn't thinking about the people behind me. Sorry, Cod. I do think now that I could have possibly helped your race a bit more. I didn't think that the Sauber would fight you, considering he had a drive-through. So I assumed that you would be right on my ass, as soon as the the race got going. But obviously, you got involved in your own battles, which was really unfortunate. But then I kind of, because obviously I hadn't seen Kevin's pace. He didn't do quali, and he was on the hards. And when I realised that he was actually really quick on the mediums, I knew that I just had to do the best that I could do, put in hot lap after hot lap to be able to get ahead of him, and kind of play the strategy as well as I could. And I kind of did the calculations of which lap I needed to be ahead of him, for then him to take me, for then me to take him again, and then get the win. And it worked perfectly. And that doesn't normally happen in league racing, but I'm very happy that it did.
Yeah, well, you must have not been listening in the comms box, because what I was urging you to do for the final stint of that race was, as soon as you got ahead of Kevin Kell, you should have went none of your S and parked it so that you could help Cod get back into the battle, because if you won, you only take a certain amount of points away from Kevin if he finishes P2, which is what ended up happening. But if you had got Codzilla or anyone else into the mix there, they could have taken more points away from Kevin Kell. But I do understand at the same time that's a risk, because they can also take points away from you. So it is a bit of give and take.
Yeah, Kevin was so quick. Like, I feel like I had to use ERS, otherwise he might have overtaken me at places I don't think he could have been able to. There was definitely moments during the lap that if I didn't use ERS, if I'd parked it, he probably would have got ahead of me, and then that would have been even more hassle. So it was good. It was I did the best of what I could, and I think you said on the stream I only have like 6 points to him now. So
yeah, it is a 5-point gap, and if you... This is hilarious to say out loud, but if you replicate exactly what you did today in Brazil, where you get pole, you get the pole lap and the fastest lap and win, and Kevin Cal finishes second, he will win on countback by having one more P3 than you, because you'll both have 4 wins, both have 2 P2s, and currently he only has 1 P3 and you have a P4. So he would win on countback, and it would be that close. So,
oh man, yeah.
If you're in a similar scenario where, even if you're in the lead of the race in Brazil and you have the fastest lap, you do need to explore some shenanigans to make sure Kevin Kell doesn't finish P2, because I'm sure Kevin Kell hearing this is like, alright, if it's just me and someone else in the battle for the lead, if it's just me and Michael, I'm not too worried. But you need to make sure that it's not just you and Kevin in the battle for the lead next week. Otherwise, it'll be a championship victory for Kevin Kell, and that'll be hilarious because you'll finish on the same points, but it'll really be that close.
It's been such a close season, and there's been multiple instances where I could have taken points on Kevin that I haven't. So I'm not really putting it all down to the final race. I'm going to try and win, but I don't know. Brazil, I'm not 100% sure on. So we'll see how it goes. All I can hope is that Kevin will do some sort of outlandish strategy that for once doesn't work. That's all I can hope for.
If Kevin again doesn't do qualifying, I will be quite shocked. If Kevin doesn't do qualifying and then still wins the championship, I will be blown away. I think if Kevin doesn't do qualifying like he has been doing for the last 2 races, I think he may hand the championship away. But if he does do qualifying, then it'll definitely be debatable who wins, and it'll be definitely exciting to watch anyway. We will move on to the... go ahead, Michael.
No, sorry. I was just going to say he definitely deserves it if he manages from last to win. So, yeah.
Yeah. But we'll move on to the other 2 drivers to interview as well. Oh, Cod, do you wanted to say something?
No. I mean, if Kevin doesn't want to do qualifying, that's up to him. But in my opinion, the 3 championship contenders should be qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
They should be qualifying. Don't because yes, it might be okay starting from the back, you know, like around Qatar, but Brazil's a whole different scenario. You know, you can start at the back and end up getting damaged by turn one. It's a whole different scenario. So if I had any advice for Kevin, just qualify, mate. Let's just do let's have a straight fight through qualifying and the race and just see what happens.
Yeah, well, definitely looking forward to seeing it. I would say, out of everyone to trust getting through the pack safely, I would say Kevin Kell is probably the person I put highest on the list. That man just knows how to avoid carnage like no one else I've seen. But anyway, we'll move on to the other two drivers who are here for driver interviews. We'll start with Ollie Bean. Ollie, how'd that race go for you?
Oh, I had a shocking start. Everyone rear-ending everybody. Unfortunately, I did the same. Went into box, and it didn't fix my wing, even though I did put it to yes. So I tried to roll with it. I tried to just drive, and eventually it got too much, so I boxed again, and I ended up getting lapped. But I just sat in the lanky one's DRS. When they all came to box, I unlapped myself, and then the safety car came, which was it was amazing because I actually managed to get back into the race. I had some brilliant battling with Scotland, and I've never been great at track limits here. I always seem to mess up somehow, but I'm quite happy with how I finished, considering how I started.
Where'd you end up finishing? Because I was too focused on what everyone at the front was doing.
So I ended up finishing P9, but obviously my penalties put me down to P12, which I kind of figured would happen because I've never been amazing with track limits here. It's always just the tiniest little, just over the white line. But yeah, I feel like I got back into it after the safety car restart. Yeah,
Qatar is one of the famous tracks for track limits being very difficult, but to still get P12, that's still points on the board. For those of you who don't know, we do points down P16 here in WHF, so still points on the board for yourself. And the next man in the interviews of LTJ Ellis, aka Ledge Man. How did that race go for you, Ledge Man?
I got my first points, although it was not a good race, I'm going to be honest. It was all down to bad strategy. Off the start, it was all my tyres were wearing quicker than I expected, and then I decided to go on to hards, even though in my race runs that I've done practicing for this, I've learned that the hards are not good, so I don't know why I went on them. But then on the safety car, I decided to stick them, so they got way too cold. I ended up spinning out under safety car, and then just couldn't keep the pace, so I ended up finishing a P13, which I felt was pretty good. I think it was my best finish so far, so I'm happy enough with that.
Yeah, still a decent result. And as you head to the finale, do either of you think Brazil is a favourite of yours?
I think for me, it's my best track on time trial, but I don't know about battling there. I haven't had a race there in a good time, so I'm not too sure.
Well,
yeah, I feel like I can pull something out of the bag here and get into the top 10 once again. But we'll have to see. I've yet to actually battle Ledgeman. I was really looking forward to it under the safety car restart, and he spun out right in front of me, and I nearly crashed because I was laughing too hard. It was really funny.
You know what we can actually do is we can show that on the stream as well, and we'll do just that.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what Ledgeman did under the safety car.
It was rather funny. I'll put my perspective in the T2 chat. It was really funny. I was not expecting it to happen.
I'm trying to work out how you did that. Did you boot the throttle?
Yeah, and my tyres were so cold, icy. The hards cooled down so much onto that safety car.
It doesn't even look like you boot the throttle that bad, but the car just spins so easily.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I think the tyres are just so cold.
I feel like you shouldn't have spun that aggressively, though, in that clip.
Yeah, but that's why I wasn't expecting it. It really caught me off guard. But
that honestly looks a bit more like a game glitch than it does you spinning. Because the car should not kick out that aggressively. That was very strange.
luckily because it was under safety car, I only lost one position. So that was alright.
But yeah, in Qatar, in future, it is a medium hard or a hard medium. So even though you didn't like the hards there, that's definitely the tire to be on, because softs, I can promise you, are even worse. So just for future reference, you were on the right tire. But anyway, as we head to Brazil, we will see who will be the championship winner. Will it be Kevin Kell, who leads the championship by 5 points over Michael Louis? Or will it be Michael or even Codzilla, who is an outside shot at winning the championship? Realistically, Cod needs Michael Louis and Kevin Kell to take each other out for him to win. But I'm sure Codzilla will be trying to force some mistakes for that to happen. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been WHFR. We're going to find someone to raid on the way. We're going to raid Meraki from Creator Series. And next time, we also have the penultimate round of the season for Tier 1 as well tomorrow. That is in Japan. So make sure to follow for that as well. But thank you all for watching, and goodbye.